False relationships can be difficult to recognize, much like telling the difference between a mirage and an oasis in the vast desert of human connections. The key lies in surrounding yourself only with people who uplift you, those whose presence helps you become the best version of yourself. In a world filled with fleeting encounters and insincere connections, where people often wear masks of friendliness and hidden agendas, discerning who genuinely cares for us becomes both an art and a necessity. It requires sharp intuition and a watchful eye. If this is your first time visiting my channel, I kindly ask you to support it by subscribing and liking the video. Your support allows me to continue producing content like this. Often, we overestimate the kindness and goodwill of others, only to realize later that we were merely being used. Just like a seasoned gardener who knows how to differentiate between plants that nourish the soil and those that deplete it, we too must learn to recognize the true allies in our lives and identify emotional parasites. So today, we'll discuss the subtle signs and less obvious behavioral patterns that expose hidden motives lurking behind friendly faces and hollow promises. If you're here, it's because you're committed to personal growth, and in this video, we'll uncover the insights needed to navigate these human puzzles and move toward deeper, more authentic connections. Let's begin. Number 1. Diminishing comments. Those who habitually use others for their gain often employ belittling remarks as tools to chip away at your self-worth. These remarks, often disguised as jokes or casual observations, are actually barbed criticisms that damage your confidence and self-esteem. They may downplay your achievements, mock your goals, or show indifference to your struggles. This kind of behavior functions as subtle psychological manipulation, aiming to keep you in a state of self-doubt and emotional dependence. In such dynamics, your lowered self-regard elevates their control, reinforcing their perceived dominance in the relationship. These comments often stem from the offender's own insecurities, a way to mask their inadequacies by dragging others down. Recognizing this toxic pattern is crucial. It helps you see beyond their surface charm and understand the destructive dynamics at play. It's a signal to address the behavior, enforce healthy boundaries, or walk away from the toxicity altogether. Number 2. Broken promises. This behavior plays out like a staged performance, with persuasive words as the actors and unreliable actions as the script. Some individuals master the art of sounding committed, painting beautiful visions of loyalty and support. Yet, when the moment of truth arrives, their promises dissolve into inaction. A pattern emerges. They vanish when needed most, exposing their words as hollow. Their promises serve as bait to earn your trust or resources with no intention of honoring them. This betrayal is not just a personal letdown, but a sign of manipulative intent. Recognizing these patterns helps us differentiate those who value mutual support from those who seek only personal gain. For those left abandoned, it's a painful yet essential realization. Not every promise stems from sincerity. Identifying such unreliability is vital to protecting your emotional well-being. Number 3. Unilateral benefit. This toxic dynamic can show up financially, emotionally, or practically. Financially, the user may borrow money or resources with vague promises of repayment that never come to fruition. Emotionally, they lean heavily on your support while offering little or nothing in return. Practically, they may ask for constant favors but vanish when you need help. Such relationships mimic parasitism, where one party benefits while the other is drained. The on-sidelines slowly saps your emotional energy, time, or resources, leaving you depleted. The root of this behavior is often deep selfishness and lack of empathy. These individuals see relationships as transactions, measuring every interaction by what they can extract, not what they can give. Recognizing this pattern requires self-awareness and honesty about how the relationship makes you feel valued and respected, or exploited and overlooked. Asterisk number 4. Disregard for your emotions or needs. This is like tending a garden where only one flower theirs is allowed to thrive, while yours are neglected or trampled. In such dynamics, the user's needs are always front and center, while yours are treated as an afterthought or dismissed entirely. Their behavior, both words and actions, prune away at your emotional health, leaving you feeling unseen, unheard, and undervalued. This disregard can take many forms. It may be evident in how frequently they disregard your emotional needs, failing to offer support or understanding during moments of vulnerability or hardship. You might also notice their indifference to your choices and opinions, where your voice is consistently silenced under the weight of their dominant perspective. They may ignore your achievements or, worse, trivialize your struggles, reducing the significance of the very things that deeply affect you. This behavior is not merely careless or thoughtless, it is intentional emotional neglect, a calculated method used to maintain dominance in the relationship. By invalidating your emotions and needs, they create an atmosphere where your self-esteem is slowly worn down, leaving you more open to their control and influence. This is a subtle but potent form of manipulation that strikes at the core of what it means to feel emotionally safe and valued. When these emotional needs are constantly ignored, the result is often a profound sense of isolation, even when the relationship appears active on the surface. Recognizing these signs of emotional neglect is vital. It becomes your internal compass, helping you steer clear of dynamics that compromise your well-being and guiding you toward relationships grounded in mutual care and respect. Asterisk number 5. Emotional manipulation. This often begins discreetly, with the manipulator appearing warm, attentive, and supportive. However, that caring facade quickly becomes a tool to instill anxiety, self-doubt, or guilt. These individuals become highly skilled at pressing emotional buttons, praising you just enough to make you crave their approval, only to later undermine you through criticism or subtle jabs. It's like a gardener who inconsistently nurtures a plant over watering it one day and letting it wither the next. These emotional highs and lows destabilize you, leaving you emotionally dependent and constantly seeking their validation. They may diminish your achievements, inflate your failures, or twist your words and actions to make you feel responsible for problems you didn't cause, effectively shifting blame and ensuring you remain in a cycle of apology and self-questioning. In such relationships, emotional balance is non-existent. The manipulator controls when to provide affection and when to withdraw it, ensuring they remain in power while you remain uncertain. This dynamic serves only their needs and is deeply harmful to your emotional health. Recognizing manipulation requires both emotional clarity and a willingness to see through the pattern of confusion they create. Number 6. Lack of genuine support. Picture a lone tree in a barren landscape, its branches reaching out for support that never comes. This mirrors being in a relationship where genuine care is absent. You may share your ambitions, worries, or challenges and be met with vague encouragement or detached indifference. While they might express verbal support, their actions consistently fail to match their words. No meaningful help, number listening ear, no real investment in your well-being. Their interest in your life is conditional and transactional, dictated by how your circumstances impact them. They give only when it benefits them, creating a dynamic where emotional and practical support flows in one direction. Over time, this drains you mentally, emotionally, and sometimes even physically while they remain unburdened and indifferent. Identifying this pattern helps protect your emotional resources and redirect them toward relationships where support is mutual and sincere. In conclusion, the ability to recognize false relationships is a vital skill in navigating the complexities of human interaction. It calls for a refined awareness of behavior, spotting diminishing comments, broken promises, one-sided benefit, emotional neglect, and manipulation. These patterns serve as warning signs, helping you make conscious choices about who deserves your trust and emotional investment. Real relationships are rooted in trust, equality, and mutual respect, in emotional games or exploitation. As you learn to see through the illusions and identify these subtle but destructive behaviors, you empower yourself to walk away from harmful dynamics and toward connections that truly nourish your growth, fulfillment, and peace of mind. Number 7. Constant competition. Imagine being in a game where every move you make, every success you achieve, met not with support, but with subtle rivalry. People who aim to use you often treat relationships like a chessboard, where every interaction is a chance to gain advantage or assert superiority. Your accomplishments become threats, your goals become battlegrounds, and even your challenges are turned into ways for them to elevate themselves. In professional settings, this could look like stealing credit, undermining you in front of others, or subtly sabotaging your work. In personal relationships, it may be seen in constant comparisons, where your achievements are always met with a "but I... response. They try to be smarter, more accomplished, or more admired, not to grow with you, but to stay ahead of you. Even in everyday conversations, their need to outshine you is palpable, transforming what should be shared joy or vulnerability into a competitive arena. This kind of relentless rivalry erodes trust and emotional safety, and recognizing it allows you to exit dynamics where support is replaced by silent battles for dominance. The root of this behavior lies in deep-seated insecurity and a distorted sense of self-worth, where their value is not determined by their own merit, but by their perceived superiority over others. This mindset turns every interaction into a zero-sum game. If they are to win, you must lose. In such a mentality, mutual growth and collaboration are replaced by a constant drive to outshine, overpower, and dominate. Engaging with someone who is caught in this cycle of constant competition can be mentally and emotionally draining, as it creates an atmosphere of persistent tension. Genuine collaboration becomes nearly impossible because every success you achieve is seen not as something to be celebrated, but as a threat to their sense of dominance. And your struggles are seen not with empathy, but as opportunities to elevate themselves. Recognizing this pattern is essential, as it enables you to establish firm boundaries and, when possible, steer the relationship toward healthier and more balanced dynamics. At its core, a constructive relationship must be based on mutual respect, support, and a shared desire to see each other grow, not on an unending contest of who is better. Number 8. Absence in critical moments. This behavior resembles a tree that provides shade only when the sun is gentle, but vanishes when the storms begin. Such individuals are present in times of ease, when the emotional climate is favorable and there is something to gain, but when hardship strikes, their support evaporates. When you face a personal crisis, a setback, or emotional turmoil, their absence becomes loud and undeniable. These individuals treat relationships as tools of convenience, only investing when there's personal benefit. Their empathy is selective, their involvement conditional. This can lead to a profound sense of abandonment, as the person you expected to be there in difficult times simply fades away, revealing the transactional nature of their loyalty. The disillusionment and emotional hurt that follow can deeply affect your sense of trust and security in the relationship. Understanding this behavioral pattern is critical. It helps you reassess the value and sincerity of the connection and recognize that true commitment is demonstrated not in good times, but in challenging ones. Consistent support through all phases of life is the cornerstone of a genuine relationship. When someone vanishes during your storms, it becomes a test of their true intentions and an opportunity for you to reevaluate who deserves a place in your life. You've now reached the halfway point of this video, and I want to congratulate you for your dedication to becoming a better version of yourself. Please leave a comment below. It helps my channel immensely. If you're unsure what to write, just type "my mind over body" to let me know you've made it this far. And don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Number 9. Lack of reciprocity. Imagine a seesaw, with one side burdened by the weight of effort, care, and emotional investment, while the other side remains light and disengaged. This image captures the imbalance of a relationship where reciprocity is missing. In these situations, you find yourself consistently initiating conversations, making plans, offering emotional support, and putting in time and energy, while the other person contributes little to nothing. Their involvement often feels symbolic, enough to keep the connection alive, but never enough to make it thrive. They may respond with vague interest, offer passive support, or completely withdraw when you need them most. This lack of mutual effort reveals a self-centered approach where they see the relationship as a resource, not a shared bond. Everything is measured by what they can gain and your needs. Thoughts and feelings are secondary if considered at all. Such relationships contradict the foundation of what makes meaningful connections thrive: mutual effort, shared experiences, and emotional balance. Identifying this pattern involves honest reflection. Ask yourself, are your efforts reciprocated? Does the relationship feel enriching, or does it leave you emotionally drained? Recognizing this imbalance empowers you to redefine the dynamic or let go entirely, preserving your self-worth in the process. Asterisk number 10. Betrayal. Betrayal in a relationship is like a crack in the foundation of a building. It may start small and seem insignificant, but over time it weakens the structure, threatening to bring everything crashing down. Betrayal comes in many forms: dishonesty, secrecy, emotional disloyalty, and in romantic contexts, physical or emotional infidelity. One clear sign is a lack of transparency when someone lies, withholds information, or manipulates the truth. It's a red flag that trust is being eroded. Another sign is emotional betrayal, when someone fails to support you during difficult times, shares your vulnerabilities with others, or subtly undermines your progress. They demonstrate a lack of emotional loyalty. This kind of behavior causes lasting damage, especially when it violates the implicit trust and emotional intimacy foundational to meaningful relationships. Recognizing betrayal requires awareness, intuition, and the courage to confront what you may not want to see. Ignoring inconsistencies or dismissing red flags only deepens the wound over time. If betrayal is discovered, it's essential to respond with open and honest communications, seeking to understand what happened, but also being willing to set clear boundaries to protect your emotional well-being. In conclusion, identifying and understanding these behavioral patterns: competition, absence during hardship, lack of reciprocity, and betrayal is vital for maintaining healthy and fulfilling relationships. It demands a combination of honesty and emotional courage. Only by confronting these truths can we build connections that are genuine, balanced, and supportive relationships that uplift rather than deplete, heal rather than harm. If you recognize any of these patterns in your relationship, know that you are not alone. Acknowledging them is the first courageous step toward reclaiming your emotional well-being. Addressing such issues can be difficult, but it is vital for your long-term peace, clarity, and self-respect. Whether it's through setting firm boundaries, seeking professional guidance, or making tough but necessary decisions, prioritizing your emotional health is always a wise and worthwhile choice. You deserve relationships that uplift, support, and help you grow, not those that drain your spirit or diminish your worth. Asterisk number 11. Selective availability. This occurs when you're always emotionally and practically available for someone, but their presence is inconsistent and conditional. In this lopsided dynamic, you're like a phone line that's always open, ready to listen, support, and respond. They answer only when it suits them, appearing as rarely and unpredictably as a comet in the sky. It's not merely a case of being busy. It's a deliberate behavior that maintains emotional distance and gives them control. Their scarce availability keeps you craving connection, and when they finally offer time or attention, you're made to feel grateful for the scraps. Meanwhile, your messages may go unanswered, calls ignored, and your needs unseen unless they align with their own desires. This one-way dynamic turns you from a partner into a convenience. Over time, this behavior leads to feelings of inadequacy, frustration, and emotional depletion. Recognizing this pattern is crucial. It requires you to step back and evaluate whether the availability, effort, and emotional investment are mutual or grossly imbalanced. Healthy relationships are rooted in shared presence, not selective convenience. Number 12. Making you feel guilty. Guilt becomes a puppet string in the hands of someone skilled at emotional manipulation. They subtly tug at your sense of responsibility, empathy, and fairness, framing their requests in ways that make refusal feel like a moral failure. You might hear reminders of past favors or emotional debts, cloaked in "I did this for you, now you owe me" narratives. What starts as small obligations escalates into a cycle of compliance driven by emotional coercion. Eventually, your boundaries weaken, and you find yourself saying yes, not out of mutual care, but to avoid the crushing weight of guilt. The manipulator thrives by turning your positive traits, kindness, helpfulness, compassion, into tools of control. This manipulation erodes authentic choice, replacing it with resentment and fatigue. Recognizing this tactic means learning to tune in to the emotional tone of requests. Are you doing things freely or under pressure? Is the request genuine, or is it cloaked in obligation? Drawing this line and asserting your right to say no without guilt is essential for protecting your well-being and restoring the balance of mutual respect. Number 13. Lack of personal interest. A healthy relationship is like a two-way street, alive with shared thoughts, empathy, and mutual curiosity. But when someone only wants to use you, this street becomes one-way: your time, your attention, your emotional bandwidth flowing toward them, while your own needs and experiences are sidelined. Conversations with such people feel like monologues masquerading as dialogues. They expect your engagement, your sympathy, your time, but when the topic turns to your life, they lose interest, deflect, or change the subject. Your emotions become background noise to their self-centered narrative. This behavior is not just rudeness. It reflects a clear set of priorities in which you are not a valued participant, but a passive audience. Over time, being unheard and unseen in this way chips away at your sense of worth and connection. You begin to feel invisible, irrelevant, or emotionally starved. Recognizing this pattern requires conscious reflection on your thoughts and feelings valued equally. Are your stories met with curiosity and care, or brushed aside? These questions help illuminate the true nature of the relationship and empower you to seek deeper, more fulfilling built on mutual respect, emotional reciprocity, and genuine interest. Number 14. Unilateral conversations. Picture conversations as a street bustling with the traffic of thoughts, emotions, and shared experiences flowing in both directions. In a healthy relationship, this exchange is dynamic and balanced, where mutual care and interest keep the connection alive. But when someone is only interested in what they can extract from you, that vibrant two-way street turns into a one-way lane. Their narratives, challenges, and daily details dominate the discussion. While your attempts to steer the conversation toward your own life are often met with detours or outright dead ends. This lack of genuine personal interest reveals itself in many subtle yet persistent ways. Interactions with such individuals often feel like monologues, pretending to be dialogues, where they expect your full attention, empathy, and engagement. Yet when it's your turn to speak, they offer brief replies, shift the topic abruptly, or visibly lose interest. Your experiences, no matter how deep or important, barely register. This isn't just poor manners or a conversational flaw, it signals a deeper issue. Their priorities and intentions do not include you as an equal. By dominating every exchange and sidelining your stories, they set up a relationship dynamic that centers entirely around themselves. It's a quiet but clear form of egocentrism, reducing you to the role of a passive listener, there only to validate or absorb their emotional content. Over time, this can be deeply discouraging. It creates emotional distance, leaving you feeling undervalued, frustrated, and emotionally neglected, as your basic need to be seen and understood remains unmet. The illusion of closeness they project: frequent contact, shared laughs, even what feels like deep conversation ever evolves into something real because their emotional investment stops short of true commitment. You'll likely notice that they're quick to enjoy the perks of your connection, but retreat just as quickly when effort, compromise, or support is needed. They're present for the good times, celebrations, jokes, shared highs, but conspicuously absent during struggle, hardship, or emotional vulnerability. Trust, reliability, and follow-through, essentials of meaningful relationships, are missing. Plans are made and broken with little regard, promises rarely honored, and everything operates on their terms, driven by convenience and self-interest. Often, the goal is to maintain a network of people they can access when needed, without having to invest the emotional energy real connection requires. It's a tactic to enjoy closeness without risking attachment or responsibility. Recognizing this superficial intimacy is crucial. It involves watching the patterns in your interactions and asking whether their words match actions rooted in genuine care, shared vulnerability, and mutual growth. If the emotional scales are always tipped in their favor, what you have is not an authentic bond but a carefully maintained facade. Seeing this clearly allows you to step away from empty relationships and instead seek the ones built on honesty, reciprocity, and emotional depth. Number 16. Continued lack of respect. A persistent lack of respect is not just an occasional misstep or a momentary lapse in emotional control. It's a consistent thread that weaves itself into every corner of a relationship and shows up in countless damaging ways. It may come as subtle insults, dismissive body language, sarcasm, or even outright disregard for your thoughts, feelings, and boundaries. Imagine respect as the essential nourishment in the garden of any healthy connection. Without it, the landscape becomes barren, hostile, and incapable of nurturing anything meaningful. Every interaction becomes prickly with irritation, disinterest, or quiet contempt. This lack of respect isn't always loud or dramatic. It can be quiet and cumulative, like small cuts that slowly drain your self-worth. Often, it is a or not for asserting control, establishing dominance, or simply diminishing the other person to keep them beneath. In such dynamics, equality is lost, and instead of navigating disagreements with empathy and understanding, they become battles with emotional casualties. Over time, the very structure of the relationship starts to erode. Once the flow of mutual care is disrupted by constant belittling or disregard, it becomes nearly impossible to restore a space of genuine connection and trust. Recognizing this pattern means looking past isolated incidents and identifying the ongoing behaviors that show a deeper disrespect. True respect is not about grand gestures. It's present in how someone listens, how they disagree, how they respond to your needs, and how they treat you when things aren't easy. A relationship lacking this kind of foundational respect is not just flawed, it's dangerous to your emotional well-being. Someone who consistently disrespects you doesn't see you as an equal partner, but rather as a tool to serve their own emotional or psychological needs. This reveals a deeply unbalanced and unhealthy dynamic. A person who values themselves and seeks genuine connection must be willing to recognize and walk away from such patterns. Respect must be mutual, constant, and reflected in both words and actions. If it's absent, so too is the foundation required for any relationship to grow.